Ministering Angels by Lori A. Thompson. Chapter 27. Boys Revealed. Standing before the stone, Nathan scans the area amidst the setting sun. He walks around the coals of a storytelling fire. Remnants of partially burned wood ache to share its tales, waiting patiently for a beat of a drum to spark alluring desire. Nathan walks through the center of the fire pit, each step matching the boy who was there before. Nathan keeps his eyes on the fire, jumping as the boy responded to sparks and rushing flames. Nathan comes to the end of the pit, jumps high in the air, spins around, and lands both feet firm on the ground. He crouches over, facing the fire. Laughter echoes around and about his head as the boys mimic Joe's eccentric firewalk. Nathan sits down in the dirt with his legs crossed. He settles his hands comfortably in his lap with a smile on his face. The three boys seem to follow his lead as they all sit, one after the other. The laughter and talking subsides as they begin to eat their meal. Nathan recognizes the boys as the water boys. As the vision fades, so does Nathan. No consideration is given to where he decides to place his head as his body rests itself on the ground, completely exhausted. "I don't see it here," exclaims Dan. "I don't know where it could be," Mark remarks back. "Are we going to spend the night here? Maybe we should spend one night here. It's so nice to be back," Cain says, warily assisting the boys in their search. Only paying half attention, Dad answers back to Cain. "Geez, Cain, are you kidding? How can you think of sleeping now?" "Seems right to be thinking of sleeping. Everywhere we go, there's just more to do. We need to rest at some point," Cain continues to win over Dan's approval. "Yeah," Dan says softly. He walks around the stone, moving his hands along the surface, and then he continues around the stone once more, sifting through the dirt with his fingers along the base's edge. Mark throws a log on the expired coals to start a new fire. Nathan is in such a deep sleep that if it wasn't for the piece of wood catapulting out of the pit and hitting him in the shoulder, he never would have woken. Nathan grabs his shoulder and groans. "Ow." Still groggy and a bit dizzy from sleep, Nathan slowly sits up. Talking quietly, he asks, "What the heck? Who did that?" Dan turns from the stone and moves towards the short, dark figure. Mark and Cain look on as Dan grabs the boy by the arm, lifting him up off the ground to let the moonlight illuminate his face. "Nathan, what are you doing here?" Still feeling heavy from his sleep, he puts his head in his hands and says, "I'm going to help Brad." "I didn't think any of the boys remembered this place," Dan remarks. Thinking of the possibilities, Dan begins to get excited. "You can help us, Nathan." Mark has built a large fire to stay the night. Cain falls asleep before he finishes his dinner. A stick of squirrel meat lies in the dirt next to his limp body. It made for a quick and easy kill for Dan, even in the dark. With Dan, the boys didn't need the help of Joe and the hunters. The three boys had taken care of themselves for some time now. The more they kept away from the group, the more they accomplished. They were able to progress further and faster. Nathan has mixed feelings about finding the animal boys. He's still curious about what they have done and where they've been, but the excitement has subsided. He can tell they know something, whatever it is. It seems they are closer to Brad. Nathan finishes his meat, throws his stick in the fire, and says, "I want to help. I don't think anyone remembers this place either. I was led here. I don't know why. I didn't know what I'd find." "What did you find?" asks Dan. "Memories. Lost memories," responds Nathan. "We found it by accident, with the season changing. I wanted to figure out a way to hunt the animals that go underground. I went to Joe to see about putting some boys together to go after 'em," Dan explains. "Let me guess. He didn't like the idea," remarks Nathan. "I'm not even sure he was listening to me. He just said that we had enough to do with taking over Aiden's work. I decided to take the boys hunting after everything else was done. The first time was crazy, Dan exclaims as he recalls his hunting experience. What do you mean the first time? What kinds of things were you trying? Nathan asks. As long as you keep doing stuff, more stuff happens. It's when you stop. It's when you quit trying to figure things out that everything stays the same. You've done it, Dan states, slapping him on the leg. I know you have. You wouldn't be here otherwise. Have you seen her? Yes, Nathan agrees, going along with Dan's intensity. He wants to know more. He wants to know what they know. So you've been there, Dan asks, assuming they both have the same information. Been where? Dan asks, puzzled. Been where she is, Dan answers. I don't know what you're talking about. She comes to me, Nathan states. Dan realizes the gap of knowledge between the two of them and loses his train of thought. Well, when we find it, I will show you where I go to see her. Dan begins to regroup. What are you looking for? Nathan asks as he clears a place to sleep for the night. She said there was a message on the stone, so we came back here to find it, Dan exclaims, then throws another log on the fire. Sparks shoot out and hits Nathan in the leg. He jumps back and brushes his legs off with his hands. I'm looking for that stone, Dan, spouting and stuttering as he tries to keep himself from getting burned. I had it in my room. It was the one Joshua Dovin found, the one in his dream. I started to think you guys might have taken it, Nathan explains as he settles back down on the ground. I did take it, Dan states frankly. You weren't doing anything with it. So you just take it? Nathan barks back in disgust, sounding his youthful age and tone. There's no sense stirring things up with those that can't see yet, with those that don't do. Everyone is going to be doing the same thing sooner or later, but right now it's just us, and we have to keep moving. We will get more done. Dan stands and gets his space ready to sleep, tired of explaining himself. I don't understand, Nathan remarks, puzzled at the scrambled messages Dan alluded to. That's because you move in and out. I don't. I don't choose to participate. I just keep doing. If you want to come along as soon as we find the stone, you can. Let me tell you, Nathan, the second you get flaky on me, we will just leave you behind, Dan states firmly. I want to help. I can help, Nathan responds. Dan lifts Nathan up and leans into his face. Whatever you think you know or think you can do is just the beginning. Each step you make is a commitment. It's a responsibility. I don't know how you go back and forth, but I know it is your choice to go back if you want. Mark and Kayan have seen, and I still drag them along at times. I don't get it, but whatever. I don't need more weight to carry. Dan drops him to the ground. Now go to sleep. I could really use Nathan. I could use everyone, but I work with what I got. Dan lies down, and without much effort, all the boys are fast asleep on the dirt ground. When Nathan wakes, the animal boys are already up searching the area. Nathan approaches Dan. He's curious about why he's still checking around the large rock. Why don't you know where the stone is? Nathan questions as he wonders where he should start looking. When we first took the rock, we thought it was going to have all the answers. When we got here, so many things started happening, we forgot about the rock and the sign on it, Dan explains as he began replaying past events. I've asked the other boys, and none of us can remember who had it last. Mark and Kayan think we had it last. Me, I think they have it. Dan stands and looks straight into Nathan's eyes. If they have it, we will have to create a trap to get it back. Who are you talking about? One of the other boys? Nathan addresses Dan directly. Dan walks up closer to Nathan. You should have seen them. They know when you've given up. Why didn't they come after you? Questions Dan. Kane overheard the change in Dan's tone of voice and comes over to stand by Nathan's side. Maybe we should check him. We haven't checked him yet, Dan suggests. Nathan can see the look in his eyes change, which makes him nervous. Nathan takes a couple steps backwards, uneasy with the shifting that's taking place. We need him, Dan. He can see things. Remember, Dan? You're getting distracted. We have to find that stone. You said so yourself, states Cain, protecting Nathan from Dan. Dan stops moving forward and backs up, standing straight. His eyes and face clear of stiffness. One can see his whole body has softened. He goes back to the large stone to begin looking once again. Cain grips Nathan's arm and leads him away from Dan. Look for the stone with me. He thinks they have it. The more he wonders about them, the shakier it is to be around him. What was that, Cain? What happened to him? Nathan asks Cain as he follows. Cain stops Nathan with his right hand. Cain doesn't move. He begins to speak softly, looking forward as if he's remembering an event. Dan was marked by them. Here, shouts Dan. All three boys turn at the sound of Dan's excitement. Nathan's eyes round out. He can't believe what he's seeing. Nathan draws closer to Dan as he witnesses the back of Dan's body move out the side of the large rock. First, Dan's right foot exposes itself from within the rock, then his left steps firmly on the ground as he reclaims his stance with the boys. Now we can go back to work, Dan says to the boys, looking down at the markings on the stone. Dan tosses the stone to Nathan. Nathan can feel the fresh memory encased around the stone. Nathan speaks out loud, sharing its recent encounter. They are angry. The battle with them goes unseen. You took the stone away from them, from inside that rock. Nathan's eyes tear as he feels resistance. They want to know just as much as we do. Stop! Cain yells and knocks the stone out of Nathan's hand. You don't know what you're doing. You are drawing them here by your recanting. I don't want to know anymore, and neither should you. We have the stone. Cain leans over, picks up the stone, and places it in a bag. He draws the string and flings it to Dan. Let's go, Cain orders. Mark, Nathan, grab your things. We're out of here. Dan hesitates for a moment as he tries to gather his composure. He has traveled in the large stone before, and each time he returns to the island time, his perspective changes. He has to remind himself how important it is to help the boys. With every traveling experience, he distances himself from the other boys. His fight centers on conquering grand ideals, not on the smaller concerns of the island. He gains more knowledge and power as he continues to conquer each trying battle. Dan, she speaks with a soothing, calm voice. Dan breaks from his systematic thinking when her voice calls for his attention. He looks around the rock in full anticipation of seeing her. It is Cain's face staring back at him instead. He jerks his head back in surprise. Ready? Cain questions Dan. Yeah, Dan responds as he pretends to be put out by his inability to find something. He dodges eye contact with Cain while he pretends to search the area for something, acting frustrated because he can't find it. Not fooling anyone, Dan gives up and walks past Cain. Let's go, he orders. Dan allows the boys to trail behind him. The distance sets the boys at ease, giving them space to play as they make their way up the side of the island's edge. Cain, Mark, and Nathan scramble their way through the brush and trees like monkeys. They stop here and there along the way to partake of fruits and berries or frolicsome or fun distractions from their current undertaking. Their last footsteps bring them to the edge of a pool of water. It's filled by a 4-tiered waterfall tumbling towards them, positioned directly across the water from where they are standing. Without speaking any words, the animal boys set up camp for the night. Nathan adjusts quickly. He is eager to help the group. The animal boys know how much time they have. They have experienced her here many times. They prepare the space for an overnight stay. The boys play in the water, eat their meal, and then they rest by the fire, waiting for Dan's cue. All of the boys have knowledge and ability to draw her near, but they have become accustomed to Dan's confidence and resigned to follow his lead. Mark is in the middle of sharing a story with Nathan when Dan stands up and walks around the fire towards the water. The boys silence themselves, stand, and follow him. This is a moment to capture. This is a moment that can't wait. A spectacle appreciated by the animal boys, but new to Nathan. The boys look as nature discloses twinkling white lights dancing over the falling water. The once mystic, clear blue water that invited afternoon pleasure is now a black canvas for a moonlight evening show. Nathan stays a few steps back behind Dan and Mark and Kayan. He watches on as Dan removes the stone from his drawn pouch and speaks out over the water. "Here!" Dan holds the stone with both hands up high in the air. Each individual ray of light stretch across the dark night and join as one. The ball of light magnifies itself until it bursts so bright the boys have to turn and cover their eyes. They unveil their eyes to see her hovering over the water. Dan is walking on the water, moving towards her with the stone out in front of him, as if he is waiting for her to take it out of his hand. Mark and Kayan look on with anticipation and excitement. They know that each meeting with her brings a new adventure. Nathan has succumbed to her beauty. He doesn't care what knowledge she brings or what he can learn from her. He hadn't realized he has missed her until he sees her again. Just to look at her eliminates any curiosities or wonders in his mind. All seems perfect and right when she is around. Nathan walks closer to the water's edge, entranced by her hair and gown floating and curling in the air. Dan walks closer and closer to the girl, and then, as if he has stepped in a huge hole in the ground, the boys watch as Dan's body drops straight into the water. The girl looks straight up at Nathan and speaks his name, as if she is whispering it in his ear. "Nathan." In a blink, she is now floating just inches from his face. She looks and points to the place where Dan sunk into the water. "Go," she states, firmly. End of chapter 27.